next speaker is one of my good friends, Madeline Curtis. Madeline is a senior in the School of Nursing and Health Studies, majoring in healthcare management and policy. Although Madeline is from London, Kentucky, she calls Chattanooga, Tennessee her home, where she attended Baylor School. Aside from being the Vice President of GAAP for the past 2 years, Madeline is very active in her beloved School of Nursing and Health Studies, where she serves on the Academic Council and coordinates the Peer Advisor Program. Madeline has taken full advantage of Georgetown's location in DC by interning on the Senate Help Committee, in the White House Correspondence Office, and the lobbying firm Patton Boggs. One of Madeline's proudest accomplishments is mentoring a local high school student through the college process. Madeline plans on staying in DC after graduation and working in health policy before attending law school in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Madeline Curtis.
Thank you, Justin. So at this point, you've spent an entire day on campus. You've probably interacted with multiple students and heard stories about their best days at Georgetown. Believe me, I could stand up here and do the same thing. I could tell you about the day that I woke up at 5 a.m., waited outside in the cold for hours, and finally got to see President Obama speak in McDonough Arena. I could tell you about the day I stormed the court with my fellow Hoyas after our basketball team beat Syracuse in our last matchup. I could tell you about the day I met with 4 U.S. representatives all before my 2 p.m. class. I could tell you about simpler but just as wonderful days when everyone on campus took a second to pause and gaze at Healy Hall covered in snow. In fact, I could probably spend a week telling you about my best days at Georgetown, but I'm not going to do that. Remember that quote that got passed around on middle school girls' tumblers a few years ago? If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Yes, this probably just appeals to angsty middle school girls, but I think it's pretty applicable to your college search. A lot of schools can provide you with some of your best days, but I think what's more important is how a school is able to handle your worst days. My mom always says that how we handle adversity in life shows our true character. Today, I'm going to describe to you Georgetown's true character by telling you how it has helped me handle the adversity I've come across in my 4 years on campus. I distinctly remember my first worst day at Georgetown. I had just failed my second biology exam and really had no choice but to withdraw from the class and try to take it another semester. I had never failed a test before, as I'm sure is true for most of you. I had spent the weekend before the test at my high school's annual rivalry football game. In high school, I could pass any test with a few hours of studying the night before. As I quickly found out, this is not the case at Georgetown. The day I received my test score was the last day to withdraw from a class that semester, and my advisor is having special evening office hours. Every student at Georgetown is assigned an academic advisor when they arrive on campus that helps them make a schedule, choose a major, etc. My advisor is Marianne Lyons, and I'm fairly positive she's a saint. I came into her office devastated about my failing grade and disappointed with myself. She explained to me that my failing biology grade was not the end of the world. There is still time to withdraw from the class, and then I could take it again another semester. She calmed me down and reassured me that I would figure out academics at Georgetown and find classes that I was good at and really enjoyed. I left her office convinced that everything would be okay. Flash forward 2 years later, I was still pre-med, had completed my general chemistry courses, and was in the middle of my second semester of organic chemistry. I was miserable. I spent hours and hours in the library doing problem sets, working on lab reports, and studying for exams. My other pre-med friends, while still putting in the same time and effort as I did, actually enjoyed the class and the subject material. To them, the countless hours were worth it. They wanted to be doctors more than anything else, and if this is what it took to get there, so be it. I, however, was not so sure. My heart really was never into this whole being a doctor thing. I came into Georgetown as a healthcare management and policy major and figured that having a medical degree would be useful. I was questioning my decision and could not figure out what to do. Stay pre-med and remain miserable, or drop the concentration and let myself down. Once again, I turned to Marianne. Through our conversations, I realized that I really didn't want to be a doctor. I was passionate about healthcare policy and was spending all my time in the library and lab when I could be out in DC getting experiences and pursuing my dreams. I proved to myself that I could handle the pre-med coursework, but that path wasn't right for me. With Marianne, I made the decision to keep my major as healthcare management and policy, but drop my pre-med coursework. Today, I can honestly say that this is the best decision I've made at Georgetown, and I have never looked back. My experiences with Marianne and other professors on campus who helped me with my decision are typical. The faculty and staff here care so much about the students. The Jesuit value of cura personalis, or care of the whole person, compels them not only to push us towards successes, but also towards happiness. When you are struggling with a class, choosing your major, or finding a job, these incredible people are here to help you and make sure everything is okay. My second worst day at Georgetown came towards the end of my freshman year. I was sitting in my theology class, Mary Magdalene and the Catholic Imagination. Yes, that is a class you can take here. We had a 15-minute break, and as I was just walking back into the classroom, my phone rang. It was my mom and dad, and they asked me if I had a second. No, I told them I kind of need to go back to my class. They kept talking anyway, so I knew something was wrong. My mom explained to me that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer, but that the doctors caught it early enough that everything would be fine. My heart fell. I had no idea what to do or who to call or what to tell my friends. After a few minutes of talking to my parents about the steps we were going to take, I went back into class. When the class was over, I didn't feel like I could just carry on with my normal plan of hanging out with my friends in the library. I'm really cool. Everything was very different. I remember that Georgetown had a nightly mass at 10 p.m. and decided to go. I've been going to mass as long as I can remember, but I don't think I ever really got it until that night. The responsorial song, "Even though I walk through the valley of darkness, I feel no evil, for you are by my side," became my mantra. During the petitions, we prayed for grandparents, friends, and my mom. Complete strangers came up to me and hugged me and asked me to let them know if I needed anything. It wasn't important to me in my college search to choose a Catholic school, but when it mattered the most, I was so glad that I did. Although I come from a Catholic faith tradition, Georgetown welcomes students from various religious and non-religious backgrounds, including Judaism, Islam, and Hinduism. This respect is deeply rooted in the university's Catholic and Jesuit identity. My mom ended up having surgery on the day I was supposed to move out of the dorm that year. Instead of having her there to help me pack up my dorm room and drive me home, I flew to Kentucky, packed up my car, drove back to DC, packed up my room, and drove back to Kentucky. Not easy for a very dependent 18-year-old. As you'll find out if you attend Georgetown in the fall, we have these giant carts that you use to move all your stuff across campus and into your car. These things are huge and super difficult to steer. I had mine loaded to the brim and was attempting to push it across campus to the parking garage. I had made it about 10 feet out of my dorm when I realized that there was no way I was going to make it alone. Thankfully, some very nice girl sitting on a bench outside the dorm realized it as well. She introduced herself to me as Chloe and offered to help me steer the cart to my car. Thank goodness she did. After a couple close calls going off curves, we finally made it to the parking garage. Instead of leaving me there to finish the task of loading up my car, she stayed with me and helped until every box fit. When I told my friends in the South that I was going to Georgetown, they mostly had the same question. Why would you want to go to school with a bunch of mean Yankees? People are much nicer in the South. I'm so glad to say that in my 4 years at Georgetown, I've been constantly struck by the kindness of my fellow Hoyas. Examples like Chloe are everywhere. My friends bring me soup when I'm sick, drop by to visit when I spend long nights in the library, frequently send me good luck texts before big exams, and spend their Friday afternoons watching me speak. Georgetown students genuinely care about each other, and we genuinely care about the world around us. I cannot tell you how proud I am to attend a university with such a magnanimous student body. My third worst day came right after I dropped pre-med. I had decided I wasn't going to take physics over the summer like I had planned to do, but had already signed a lease to live in DC. It was late April, and all the deadlines for internships had already passed. Once again, I had no idea what to do. My advisor set up a meeting with Scott Fleming, Georgetown's federal liaison, to talk about my options. Mr. Fleming suggested that given my interest in health policy and my dad's profession as an ophthalmologist, I should contact the American Academy of Ophthalmology to see if they have any available internships in health policy. I asked my dad's partner, a fellow Hoya, to reach out to the medical director of the academy, Dr. Rich, who he knew from his time at Georgetown. I met with Dr. Rich at his office, where he explained his job and what the academy does. He introduced me to everyone in the office and immediately offered me an internship. The phrase, Hoyas hire Hoyas, could not be more true. While my Georgetown connections have helped me land my first internship, they've been incredibly helpful in the many that have followed. Whether discussing basketball or a fellow alum, Bradley Cooper, my interactions with other Hoyas have been overwhelmingly positive and helpful, and I know that they will be for the rest of my life. The experiences I described to you today would have happened to me no matter what school I chose to attend 4 years ago. College is and should be a time of asking hard questions and not being sure of where to go next. Yes, college may be the best 4 years of your life, but if you're doing it right, there are going to be tough days. I hope that you have the opportunity in college to experience uncertainty, grow from it, and ultimately find your passions. Honestly, you're going to have great days and bad days at whatever school you choose to attend. But with Georgetown's supportive faculty and staff, caring student body, Jesuit tradition, and strong alumni network, I can promise you that there is no better place to have a bad day. Thank you, and Hoya Saxa.